the 27th of June, 1900, Volume 3. The soul must recognise herself in Jesus, not in herself. I continue to be sleepy. This morning, for a few minutes, I found myself awake and I comprehended my miserable state. I felt the bitterness of the privation of my highest and only good. I was able only to shed a few tears, saying to him, "My always good Jesus, how is it that you are not coming? These are not things to do, to wound a soul and then leave her. And what is more, so as not to let her know what you are doing, you leave her prey to sleep. Oh, please come, do not make me wait so much." While I was saying this and yet more nonsense, in one instant he came and transported me outside of myself. And since I wanted to tell him about my poor state, imposing silence on me, Jesus told me, "My daughter, what I want from you is that you no longer recognize yourself in yourself, but that you recognize yourself only in me. So you will no longer remember yourself, nor will you ever again have recognition of yourself, but you will remember me. And unrecognizing yourself, you will acquire the recognition of me alone. According to how much you will forget and destroy yourself, so will you advance in the knowledge of me, and you will recognize yourself only in me. Once you have done all this, you will no longer think with your mind, but with mine. You will not look with your eyes. You will no longer speak with your mouth, nor will you palpitate with your heart, work with your hands, or walk with your feet, but will do everything with mine. In fact, in order to recognize herself only in God, the soul needs to go to her origin and to return to her beginning, God from whom she came, and to conform all of herself to her Creator. And anything which she keeps of herself and which is not conformed to her beginning, she must undo and reduce to nothing. Only in this way, naked, undone, can she return to her origin, recognize herself only in God, and operate according to the purpose for which she was created. This is why, in order to conform to me completely, the soul must render herself indivisible with me. While he was saying this, I could see the terrible chastisements of plants with it, and how it must advance further. I could only say, "Ah, Lord, how will the poor people go on?" And he, so as not to listen to me, escaped like a flash and disappeared. Who can say the bitterness of my soul in finding myself inside myself, not having been able to speak to him even one word for myself and for my neighbour, and for my tendency to sleep, with which I was left again. End of the reading. The 27th of June, 1919, Volume 12, The Heart of Jesus, Spring of Glory and of Graces. Continuing in my usual state, my lovable Jesus showed me his most holy heart, telling me, "My daughter, as many virtues as my heart practiced, so many springs were formed in it, and as they formed, innumerable rivulets gushed forth, which spurting up to heaven, worthily glorified the Father in the name of all, and dropped again from heaven for the good of all creatures. Now, as creatures too practice virtues, they form little springs in their hearts, from which their little rivulets gush forth, which cross mine, and spurting together, glorify the celestial Father, and descend for the good of all, forming such harmony between heaven and earth that even the angels remain astonished at the enchanting sight. Therefore be attentive in practicing the virtues of my heart, so as to let me open the springs of my graces." End of the reading. The 27th of June, 1929, volume 26, present for Saint Aloysius. How it was necessary that Jesus intertwine Louisa in the manifestations on the divine will. Transmission of human and divine. Divine rights that the creature acquires. Having received Holy Communion, I was offering it for the glory of Saint Aloysius, and I offered as a present for him everything that our Lord had done in his divine will, with his mind, with his words, works and steps, for the accidental glory of Saint Aloysius on his feast day. Now, while I was doing this, my sweet Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, a more beautiful present you could not give to dear Saint Aloysius on the day of his feast. As you were offering your communion and all my acts done in my divine will, so many sons were formed for as many acts as I did in it while being on earth, and these sons invested Saint Aloysius in such a way that he received so much accidental glory from the earth that he could not receive more. Only the offerings of acts done in my divine will have the virtue of forming their sons, because containing the fullness of light, it is no wonder that it converts into sons the human acts done in it." After this, I was thinking to myself, how is this? In all the things the blessed Jesus has told me about his divine will, my poor person is always intertwined in the middle. Only rarely, a few times, has he spoken about his supreme fiat. But while I was thinking about this, my sweet Jesus came out from within my interior and told me, "My daughter, it was necessary that I intertwine your person in the manifestations I have given you about my divine fiat. First, because each manifestation I gave you was bonds that I formed between you and my divine will. It was gifts and properties that I entrusted to you, such that as you were endowed with them, the human family was being bound to the new acquisition of the kingdom of it. If I did not intertwine you in the middle, it would be neither bonds nor gifts that I would give, but simple news. And therefore, in order to give you a manifestation about my divine will, I would wait for an act of yours, a little pain of yours, and even just one I love you of yours, so as to take the occasions to speak to you. I wanted of your own in order to give you of my own, and be able to give you the gift of my divine volition. And then all our external works are a transmission of divine and human. In the very creation, there is a continuous transmission. Our fiat created the heavens, it studded them with stars, but it called to life matter in order to do it. It created the sun, but it called to life the light and the heat as the material with which to form it. It created man. First I formed his statue made of earth. I infused the human soul in him. And then I created the life of my love over this soul. And then my divine will transmitted itself with his, in order to form its kingdom in the creature. There is not one thing come out of us and created by us in which there isn't this transmission of human and divine. In our most beautiful works, the creation, the Immaculate Queen, the Word humanate, the human and the divine are so bound together as to be inseparable. And so the heavens are brimful of God, narrating my glory and our power and wisdom. The Immaculate Queen, my bearer, my humanity, the incarnate Word. Now, wanting to make my divine will known, after the first transmission I made in Eden, that was rejected from me, in order to be able to put the kingdom of my divine fiat out in the field again, it was necessary for me to form the second transmission. And how could I do it if I did not intertwine another creature with bonds almost inseparable in the knowledges, in the light, and in the very life of my eternal volition? And if I did not intertwine you in it, transmitting you into it, and it into you, you would have not felt within you either its life or its permanent light, nor would you have felt within you the necessity to love it and the yearning to know it more. And so, this is why I put you and me in the condition you have giving to me and I have giving to you. And in that reciprocal giving, I would form the knowledge that I wanted to give you. And the transmission of my divine will was with yours was realized, rendering you the conqueror of the great good that I was doing to you. Then, continuing in my abandonment in the divine fiat, that is such that as much as I hasten to cross all of it, I can never manage. On the contrary, I see that much way is left for me to go within its sea of light, to the point that I cannot even catch sight of where its endless boundaries end. So, as much as I hasten, my journey will never end. I will always have something to do and way to go within the sea of the eternal volition. Then my sweet Jesus added, my daughter, how great is the sea of my will! It has no beginning and no end. Therefore the littleness of the creature can neither cross it nor embrace it all. However, one who lives in it finds herself on the way in the centre of the sea, as it will never be given to her to go out from within its centre, because she will never find either a shore or a boundary of it. On the contrary, in the front and in the back, on the right and on the left, she will find nothing but sea of divine will. And for each act that she emits in it, she is given a divine right back. In fact, since her act has been done within and together with my divine volition, with divine justice, it communicates to the soul the right of the divine light, the right of its sanctity, the right of its beauty, of its goodness, and of its love. She lives in the sea of my will by right, not as a stranger, but as the owner, because she has her acts changed into divine rights that have rendered her the conqueror of my divine will. And if you knew how much we delight, how happy we feel in seeing the littleness of the creature living in the sea of our volition, not as a stranger, but as the owner, not as servant, but as queen, not as poor, but as immensely rich, and rich in our conquests that she has made in our fiat. Therefore, one who lives in our divine volition will feel within herself, by right, the dominion of light, the dominion of sanctity, the dominion of beauty, and of making herself as beautiful as she wants. She has goodness at her disposal, love as the substance of her acts, my divine will as her own life, and completely her own. And all this by divine right, given by our very selves. Therefore be attentive in multiplying your acts in our adorable fiat. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.